And we're live.
So, Billy, I've been talking about this podcast coming up ever since he agreed to do it. But I just
I
have to
know.
ask, like, b- back in the day when I was in college, anything that was played by Cypress Hill got people up and
Oh yeah.
crazy and going nuts. Like that was that and the Beastie Boys, of course, but that was even a little earlier, like towards the end of high school, beginning of college, and then Cypress Hill, and it just blows that back in those days, that was like the music that got us going. It was part of the music that defined my generation. It was that time that the Chronic was out and NWA and Two Live Crew. I was blasting out of my dorm rooms. I mean, it was all in that same time. It was just that music of our era. And it just blows my mind that I'm actually talking to somebody that
Yeah.
who defined
Well,
that
and
part of my life.
yeah, I mean it's a natural fit for you since Cheech and Chong filmed half their movie in your grandma's
Yeah.
house.
Yes,
So
I know, a lot of people don't know that. I just never talk about it, but when I was a little girl, I just wanna when I was, like, 7 years old, my uncles were friends with Cheech and Chong because they lived in Venice, my grandmother lived in Venice, and so Cheech and Chong shot, the first Up in Smoke, a lot of it at my grandma's house, and my grandma was even in the movie, and my cousins were in the movie. I mean, back then there was no money, and so, like, everybody in the family was in the movie. It was just yeah, yeah. I guess you could say maybe that was just the
yeah.
path that brought us here today to if you don't know, then you don't know.
Well,
Eric
I'm glad we're
Bobo.
back. We're back doing this So What About
Yes.
Crypto podcast after a few months off and COVID,
Right.
and I got COVID. I'm over it almost. I'm having trouble breathing still. I'm
Yeah,
doing
I
these
mean,
podcasts and I hear my voice going, so it hasn't come back all the way, but I'm feeling good, feeling really good. And then
you're definitely
just
much
seems like
better.
we can't seem to, we're too busy, but we're back off hiatus. And lo and behold, Elsa was able to get this guy.
Eric
So
Bobo, percussionist, Cypress Hill, Beastie Boys. If you're a fan, then I hope you're geeking out
yeah,
with me, everybody. Eric Bobo. I wish we could
All
come in
right.
with jump around, but
yeah.
Thank you
it
very
might be a
much.
little Eric, I really want to thank you too for being with us, especially since you're in Buenos Aires right now and you're with family and you're working. So we really appreciate your time right now. So thank you so much for being here this morning.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me come on. This is really cool, and uh, getting a chance to talk about some other stuff that you got going on. It's kind of interesting. This whole journey has been crazy. This whole crypto journey for me.
Yeah, I absolutely want to get into the Bobo token and NFTs with you, but I do want people to know, your life leading up to I guess where we all are at this point with cryptocurrency and this whole space. And I just was so fascinated to learn, well, not surprised, but fascinated to learn that you have a very strong jazz background. Your father was a jazz musician
Yes.
growing up. And so I'm sure it's just in your genes, it's in your blood that you are musically inclined. But there were some times growing up that were uh, while you were, learning music and jazz and getting that talent and building that talent, there were some times while you were growing up that it was a little tough in the music industry and also losing your father.
Yes. I'm my father Willie Bobo was world-renowned Latin jazz percussionist. Played with some heavyweights in jazz and Latin world, from Miles Davis to Tito Puente, and it's on some heavy recordings, classic recordings. And I grew up all around this, and I started playing professionally. I was 5 years old. up on stage with him. And I just gravitated toward that. And I knew that I wanted to be a musician early on. So I would occasionally perform with him and do some big things, you know, from Playboy Jazz Festival to, you know, a lot of the jazz clubs in LA, which were 21 and over. So we had to get
I was just
permission
gonna say, as a
from,
kid,
yeah,
yeah, you were
yeah.
as a kid
So,
playing in these
so we had,
world-renowned
we
places.
had, that's right. And we had to get permission from the Musicians Union for me to be able to even go in there and to perform. So I had to stay in like a certain spot or whatever like that. And I was never worried about the, you know, the drinking or whatever like that. I was cool with my Virgin's Shirley Temple. You know, I was good. I was just looking forward to playing and being up on stage, you know, for that one or two songs that I was going to play. So, you know, I had been doing that, and then, you know, my father had gotten ill uh, uh, with cancer, and I started to take over some of the gigs that, you know, he couldn't do, and I took over the band for a year after he passed away, so kind of keeping the legacy going on. Uh, but it was at a crazy time too, because the jazz clubs, you know, were starting to close a little bit. You know, the times were kind of changing, and the outlets to play were kind of, you know, dwindling down. And you know, I needed to find my voice. So I was in school, I was in college, went to Cal State LA and
Hmm.
USC, transferred there to USC, and I was a jazz studies major, and uh, trying to find my voice and trying to do my kind of music. Not to say that Latin jazz wasn't my music, but you know, I was listening to way more stuff than that. And it was during this time that, you know, I kind of got uh, in the headlights of the Beastie Boys when I did Ad Rock's wedding, his first to his first marriage, you know, his first wife. And I was the entertainment. My band, my little trio was the entertainment. We did the wedding march and everything. We were playing some cool jazzy, funky stuff. Few months later, I got a call from Mike D. He says, you know, are you interested in, you know, doing the tour with us? So check your head, you know,
And you're like,
our
"What,
last leg.
you're like, "Let me check my schedule."
You know, and the Beastie Boys were one of my favorite groups. I mean, I was like, I knew the lyrics and everything like that. So I was like, of course. So I actually auditioned. And
Oh,
but I knew I was
wow.
gonna ace the I knew I was gonna ace the audition because I knew every single song, every single note, everything. And by the end of that audition, I got the itinerary, and that that moment kind of changed things for me.
Oh,
And yeah,
absolutely.
and that was the actually that was the first tour. That first tour is where I met Cypress Hill because they were opening up. So my two worlds collided at the same time.
Two very big worlds. I mean, so here you are with the Beastie Boys, which was phenomenal. It's incredible. You're making a name for yourself with the Beastie Boys, and you have another powerhouse come to you and say, "Hey, can you play with us too?" How was it when you have two powerhouse groups like that trying to share the same percussionist? Was there any
Well,
like conflict?
well, for 2.5 years there was no conflict at all. It was crazy. Like the schedules, just like they never conflicted. You know, I'd have a little time at home to rest, but I was able to do a full-on world tour with Cypress, and then go back and do a full-on world tour with Beasties and record and everything like that. And I was on albums and recording and everything like that. But eventually, uh, there came the time when it did collide, and uh, Cypress had a tour, Smoking Grooves tour in 1997 or something like that, 96 or 97. And I said, okay, I'm down. And then the following week, I get the call from the Beastie Boys saying, "Yo, okay, we're starting up the tour," but I had already committed to Cypress,
Oh,
so there was no way that I could do like both. And I had already missed a big show with Beasties because I did a show with Cypress. And the show that I did Cypress with, that I missed the Beastie Boys show, that was Woodstock '94.
okay.
And I was on tour with the Beastie Boys at that time doing Lollapalooza. And Cypress, they asked me to do Woodstock with them. And I said, all right, I could do it. But originally they were going to play on the Sunday, which was our day off. No problem. Somehow them days got switched. So
Uh,
I flew to do Woodstock. It was raining. The only way to get in and out was through boat or through helicopter. And nothing was working. So I missed the show with the Beastie Boys.
oh man. Oh God, what was that like after you guys were able
Oh,
to communicate and connect? Because what that was 94, so
yeah.
there I guess there were cell phones at the time, but it was just uh beginning to um evolve the cell service, right? I think that like right around then you
Yeah.
could get your own cell phone, and I'm sure it probably didn't work too well at that
Well, no,
time to
well, it
be
was
able to
like,
communicate.
you know, the roaming charges were crazy.
Uh,
It was not
yes.
that free roaming back then and
That's
there,
right.
but it was just the fact that, I mean, I wrote a note to Mike D, said I was going to make it back for the show. And had the weather been okay, I would have made it. I would have made it. It would have been miraculous, but I would have made it. But the weather wasn't on my side, and then I missed the show. They already knew that I went to Woodstock because I left a note. But it was the fact that I didn't make it back, and I had like three other people covering my parts. So
Oh man.
it was kind
Okay.
of, it was kind of.
Little awkward afterwards.
They got through it though, huh?
Well, oh yeah. Then I flew to Miami because that's when the next show was. I flew in and I kind of checked in, and within like 10 minutes, I got the call from the tour manager, English guy. Bobo, meet me on the tour bus. We need to talk. I'm like, oh God, and he let me have it. And then after he let me have it, then he says, yes, now the boys would like to have a word with you. He was just really put on the sauce. The guys forgave and everything. And I told him that I wouldn't jeopardize the thing, like that anymore.
Yeah.
But it was Woodstock, and it was Woodstock '94. It was the first Woodstock after everyone. It was, if I had to blame anybody, I'm going to blame my mom. Since she said, "You better go ahead and do Woodstock. That may never happen again. Do it." Because I was really still undecided. I really was until the very last moment.
Yeah, I remember that. I was unfortunately that was my senior year of college, and I couldn't go, but I remember, man, being so jealous of the people who were able to go. Oh man, how
Yeah.
weird. So
Yeah. So that's, yeah.
so you're in between these two groups. This happens. So did you go full time Cypress Hill after that?
Well, I guess like when I committed to Cypress and the tour, I think they realized that, I mean, I really couldn't flip anymore, and they needed a regular guy. And
Yeah.
Cypress, they brought me in as a member. You know, they it was a different kind of scenario. So I went full time after that with Cypress, and that started really officially in '94.
Yeah, so and of course since then it the hits are countless. I mean, there are the ones that everybody knows, of course, that I was talking about, the
Hmm.
ones we all partied to in the 90s in college and beyond, but it you know, you're your musical journey just really didn't stop with Cypress Hill. I mean, it continues, but you're also working on something new right now, a brand new album, Empires, and you're
Yes.
working on it out there in Buenos Aires right now, where you are joining us. Tell me how that came about.
Empires is an album that I'm doing with my partner Stu Bangers, who is an incredible producer from the East Coast, the Boston area, and basically it came about, from the pandemic. Like before then, I was, seeing him on Instagram. He would always be posting, him in front of his machine and him making these ill beats, like, and his output was like so crazy that it was just like coming out and coming out, and I would just like every time that I would hear his beats, I would get the stank face. When something is like fucking like oh like oh we get the stank face. So I was getting that constantly, and then finally I reached out to him. I'm like, yo man, I really dig your stuff, and then he says, yo, I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of Beastie Boys and Cypress. And he was telling me how he was like bugging out to one of my songs with Beastie Boys called Bobo on the Corner. We kind of like him. I'm like, wow, you not know me? I'm like, cool, man. Well, let's see what we could do. Let's like get some music together, send me stuff and I can tinkle along with it. And let's just do something for fun. No expectation, no, no pressure. There was really nothing else to do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're locked down. There's no work. But we could
Right.
still do something creative. So he started sending me stuff, but he started sending me a lot of stuff. And then I started out of like about 200 or 300 beats. And I started picking things and I started adding things to it. Then I sent him back what I was doing. He was like, bro, this is like, it's a different sound for him. Because he's definitely, that gritty, grimy hip hop, vibe, which I love. And as we started to get things together, like, yo, we've got enough stuff, to do a record. Why don't we give it a shot?
Lo and behold,
So I was always
right?
coming up. I'm just coming up, like with these ideas, like, yo, let's try and do something. So it's like, well, how will we do it? I said, okay, I'll reach out to some people. So then that's what I started to do. I started to kind of reach out and I would pick the beats and I would send it like, yo, would you be interested in doing this with us? And I started reaching out to the guest, and he had some people too, but everyone was like down to do it. And plus, I have to thank COVID for keeping everybody home and not on tour. So and hungry to want to do something. So this kind of came about through all that. I took advantage of, that situation. I kind of made it into a good situation for us to be able to make something, musical and creative. And that's what happened. And then all the MCs will ask me, well, what do you want us to talk about? And I said, basically talk about what's going on and how you feel about it. Talk about, what it's doing to you. I mean, that's, what's your mood about it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when it started to come about as far as the concept, because it's a semi-conceptual album, if you ask me. And it's like a snapshot of last year, 2020. So there's going to be things on there that, a lot of people they relate to because it's stuff we all kind of went through, but doing it in a hip hop, format in a way that is really powerful. And and then I started to,
Everyone's got their opinion about the last year we've all been through, right? I mean, you had to make some big sacrifices. You were telling me because of COVID and to keep your family safe, you weren't able to see your son. He was in Buenos Aires. You were in the States, and then you were finally able to come and see him. That had to be pretty emotional for you because, you know, all of us would do the same thing to protect the family. And also at one point you really didn't have a choice. You couldn't fly.
That was the thing. Yeah.
But was that reflected in the music too? I would imagine, because, you know, as a
Yes.
parent, I know that rips your heart out, but you're stuck.
Yes. I mean, it definitely got me into, you know, a mode that, you know, this has really affected a lot of people, everybody, and it's affected people in different ways. You know, a lot of my friends, they were at least together with, you know, their siblings or their children and everything like that. And
Right.
for me, I wasn't. You know, I mean, yes, thank God for FaceTime and that kind of technology, but it's not the same after a while.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
you miss the hugs and the things, and it's definitely difficult for kids of that age because they're not understanding what the heck is going on. You know what I mean? And having to wear a mask, and why can't my dad come and see me, uh, and then it's almost like, no, is it my fault? Or I mean, a lot of things, a lot of emotions can happen, and the fact that no matter what, there was a point that I could not come no matter what because there were no flights, there were nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and to think about it is like Argentina is pretty far away. The next country over is Antarctica. You know what I mean? So it's really,
Yeah.
it's a
You
distance.
can't get there.
You can, yeah. So I mean, the only thing that I could do is music is really just be creative and do something that's like a snapshot of how this feeling is. And this is why I had told Stu, my partner, Stu Bangers, like, we're gonna dedicate this album to our kids because we want them. This is where we were at, you know, and this is important. And to be able to finish out the record here and have him with me in the studio was really great. And it kind of goes along with the record. Like, the last song on the record is called The Reset. And I think that that's exactly what we're all doing now. We're making a reset of like what new things we have to change and what things have happened and some things that we can't go back to because of what happened, you know, so we have to make a reset. So I think that that's what the whole concept of Empires was about. But it's a really diverse record. I think that there's something in there for everybody to at least be able to relate to. Everyone has their own opinions, but I think that a lot of different opinions are expressed in this album.
Yeah, I think people know that you're not shy of expressing your opinions. That's why you're here. I mean, you've just been, you've just been you, and true to your own style, with the influence of jazz, which is just really, really cool influence. But how about your son? Is he following in Dad's footsteps? Does he have? Oh, I'm sure he's musically talented.
You know, he has rhythm. He definitely has rhythm. He's been on stage with me a couple of times, and he's made some beats and stuff like that. I think that if he really puts his head to it, he can be involved. You know, I mean, for me, it kind of scares me because, man, I mean, it's going to be pressure because, you know, it's not only me, but also his grandfather. You know, music is like automatically, is he music? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?
Right.
How is he going to be? You know, is he as good? Is he as talented? You know, and it's all these extra pressures that you really don't have to have, you know, at his age. So it's like, let him choose his course. He's a gamer as of kids, his age. But he loves music. He loves music, and he can sing. He can sing on pitch too. He's got a very good ear. So anything can happen. The legacy is not done. That's for sure.
Do you feel that pressure when you were young in your teenage years, when, you know, of course your father's a well-known, well-renowned, he was booking, you know, top clubs, and there had to be pressure for you too, to be on that level.
Yes, there was a lot of pressure, especially, you know, when he passed. He passed, I was 15 years old.
Right.
So to go ahead and to take over the band in the front man role with these musicians that have been doing this for years, well seasoned, like what am I going to show them? What am I going to teach them? What am, you know, and it was a lot of pressure as well as, you know, continuing to perform the music. And I wanted to also satisfy his fans, but, you know, for his fans, you know, it probably wasn't the same because they're used to seeing, you know, my dad, and my dad had a certain style. He was very funny and jovial and everything like that. And I didn't quite have his charisma. I could play, you know, and everything, but he had a little something else that I didn't have at that time.
Well, you were just
So
15. You were a young boy.
I was just 15,
You
so
know?
it's like I had to take on this weight, and I dedicated a year to doing that before starting to try stuff on my own, and and find my voice. And I think that, you know, when I started doing stuff with the Beastie Boys, a lot of people in the jazz realm were like, "What are you doing that music? That's not real music. It's a fad, you know, it's not a real musicians don't do that," and everything like that. But what that did for me was expose me to a different audience, a way bigger audience, and a chance for me to show my talent in different genres of music.
Well,
So
it allowed you to find what worked for you.
Yes,
you know?
and I mean, and it allowed me to be able to get calls from like the Black Crowes to record with them, 311, you know, to be able to go on stage with people like Rage Against the Machine and all these things. So now it's like I'm looked at like, wow, I did that, and I've not forgotten my roots, because to me, I play like I was still in the clubs. I'm playing in this style, but just in a different genre. You can't take that out of me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I improv, I do all this stuff. I don't play the same thing every night. You know, that's how I play. So that's how it's gone. And I think now it's kind of coming full circle for me.
I think I've just been really fascinated lately with documentaries that have been coming out, especially during COVID. On, I loved the Bee Gees documentary. I just watched the Tina Turner documentary. You know, I'm watching these documentaries of these people that, you know, I'm sure the public thinks, well, they just were the Bee Gees, or they just were the Beastie Boys, or they just were Tina Turner. But you don't know all the stuff in between, and how many times I learned people in those positions have reinvented themselves or found themselves even after having success first and then dropping off the radar and then having success again. It's like you guys reinvent yourselves. You're like phoenixes rising from the dust, the ashes, and you do it every time. It's just incredible to me that people see point A and you know and point Z, but they don't see everything else that happens in between. And there's a lot of life and stuff that goes on in between to find yourself, you know, to get to where you are today. Have you watched any of the other documentaries that are out there on some of the musicians?
Yeah, I'm a documentary geek. I love them. The Bee Gees, Bee Gees documentary was great. The Duran documentary was good. There's I mean, Nina Simone. There's a Betty Davis who was the wife of Miles Davis. And she was like, then she became very reclusive after that, but she was like one of the first women to kind of like, you know, really embrace like the sexuality of, you know, of being a woman in a rock format. A rock, I mean, it's awesome, and really pushing the envelope. And I think that it's a way for people to, you know, especially the new school, to see, you know, what was happening beforehand. I mean, I'm always searching for, you know, great documentaries to let me know how their struggle was, because my struggle is a whole different struggle than their struggle. I mean, my dad had to. There was times on tour that he had to go in through the kitchen. Him and a few musicians had to go in through the kitchen to go to the bandstand. He couldn't go in through the front door,
Right.
you know, and have to deal with that kind of racism. I've never had to deal with that, thank the Lord, you know. But you know, there's people that, you know, they've risen to the top and they've had it all, and then they drop down to the bottom and they completely lose it. They don't know how to pick themselves back up because the people that they entrusted or whatever they had to surrounding them weren't really there for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you know, they rush in to reclaim that fame that maybe they can't do. But you have groups like Aerosmith that they were huge, and then all of a sudden they kind of dropped off, and then when they came back stronger than ever.
Yeah.
You know, and how did they do it? Well, they were pretty open to doing a collaboration with Run DMC, and
that was the best.
they redid Walk This Way, and it was all of a sudden Aerosmith is back. And when they came out with their next record, all of a sudden,
right? Was that the record with Crazy on it? And
yes,
yes. Yeah, I remember. Yep.
It was like they had. I mean, and MTV was popping. So if you had 3-4 dynamite videos from one record, oh my God, you know.
Yep, that was it. MTV was that was the bomb.
That was it. So that was like now like my time. Now the struggle is a little different because you don't have that MTV push. There's now YouTube. There's Vivo. There's people that are doing it directly. That everybody has a cell phone. They're watching stuff on their cell phone, and a lot of the old schoolers that are kind of stuck back then, they haven't been able to adapt. You have to reinvent. You have to at least know something, or know someone that could walk you through the process. You know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be on the next wave of music, but I know that I'm going to be able to go deep into the 2020s and the 2030s with confidence.
Hey,
and then
listen,
I can
Eric,
call it a day.
I got 2 words for you. Keith Richards. You can go to the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially with your talent.
You know, you can do it. Keith Richards just has to stay out of climbing trees, because the last I heard that he had climbed a tree and he had hurt himself pretty bad. He broke some bones.
Speaking of documentaries, that's one of my favorites, was his documentary with that collaboration with Steve Jordan. Man, that was awesome.
Man, I mean, you have that, and he did a great documentary with Chuck Berry. For Chuck Berry, he was involved in that, and back in the day, and a lot of documentary too. You know, because not everything gets to be on the screen, but there's some great books, you know, documentaries, you know, that is very insightful. You know what I mean? Hammer of the Gods.
I think the thing that all of you very successful musicians have in common, and in addition to just staying true to who you are and finding your own voice in that industry, is the ability to constantly reinvent yourself and be open to something completely different. The example you just gave of Aerosmith and Run DMC, which was one of the most awesome collaborations ever, in my opinion. It was the best.
Mm-hmm.
But able to open your minds and take a huge risk. That's the common thread I'm seeing with the ones who survive, the documentaries that are being made about. You're able to adapt, and you've gotten to a point in your life, yes, you know who you are musically, you've had a ton of success, people know who you are, they know the groups you've collaborated with or performed with, the groups you've had on your own, but you've come to a place now in your life where you've opened your mind up to a completely different world. And I can relate, because it's this whole world of cryptocurrency and everything that comes with it. Yeah, I left a television news career after 21 years, and my parents hating me for doing it, for this space. Now, you don't have to leave your career, but you are definitely opening up your mind to what this space has to offer to you as an artist.
Yes. It's been an interesting ride, because when I first heard about a cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, it's like I'm thinking, oh, somebody's making some other new coins. I want to see one. I want to get one. That was my level. And then I had a friend of mine from here, actually from Argentina, that he told me some years ago that he was doing trading stuff with Bitcoin. And I'm like, I'm still clueless. Like, what? And this is when, he got into Bitcoin when it was cents, like very early on. And
nice.
he was telling his friends, oh my God, when it was like 3,000, 4,000 per Bitcoin, guys get into it. And then they got into it. And then the next day it kind of went down. They got scared, then they sold it. Then the next week it went up to 8. And then they're like, what was going on? And then, it's like people like not understanding what this is. And he saw a vision. And at that point, I still did not grasp anything. And it really wasn't until last year when I was approached by a friend of mine, his name is John Booch, that he works, he's a part of VO Distribution, who they license music for like the jukeboxes and stuff like that that'll be in bars and other licensing games and stuff like that. And he was telling me, yo, are you into cryptocurrency? I'm like, no, I don't know anything about it, but tell me tell me what's up. He said, well, he was like involved with, wanting to, get tokens, he was kind of breaking that thing down, and they're affiliated with like the XFC, which is an MMA thing, and they're starting to do their tokens, and he's working with these people, and I'm like, so what do you do with these tokens? What happens? What do people do? And then he kind of what he explained to me was like, like you can exchange things, and it's sort of like in the gaming kind of thing, like that kind of thing. That's how he broke it down to me. And then there was another person after that. So I started doing research, who I shout him out, James Rule XRP, that he was like, he reached out, and he was like a fan. He's a big fan. And like I was like reading on his stuff, and I started to kind of do my own research. And I'm like saying, wait a minute, this could be a way to kind of get to fans in a different kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And streaming has really, it's been a gift and a curse to musicians, artists, music people.
Why?
Because you can get your stuff, your song streamed 1 million times, but you're getting cents on the dollar. Happy, for example, Pharrell Williams, that song was huge, got streamed millions of times. How come in streaming he made like about $7,000, $8,000 or so dollars when it first came out? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
This song
so
you
does
heard everywhere.
that money though go to the record labels, and how is that money divvied
No,
up, and why is it getting
not
so
really.
little?
Well, that's the thing. Like with those kind of things, that is going to like the artist, like the publishing, whoever has the song. But if you're tied in with the label and you're getting publishing through them, they're going to take their chunk. The thing is with the labels is that they can throw a nice advance at you, but you have to recoup that. So yeah, they signed me for $1 million. That sounds great, but you have to make that back. And they want their money back like immediately. So like if your first single flops and they put in all this money into it, they're not going to give you any more money, and they're probably not going to give you any more money to do another video. Your album might get dropped. You're in their hands. You're in their hands. And I'm not downing record industry at all, but they have their ways. And I think the independent artists have started to really show that they can go out there and have their own records. They can push their merchandise. They could go sell out shows. They could go tour the world, and they can make money. Their 100,000 records that they sold will be equal to like platinum.
So this puts the money making power in the artist's hands directly from fans to the artist. No
Yes.
Fans, record company, label, artist.
Right.
So
right.
Okay.
And so like with the thing of like fans and now NFTs for artists, like look, I mean, not every NFT is sell for $65 million, but there's a friend of mine who's actually on the album Empire's MC called Ill Bill. He sold an NFT of one of his songs and sold that for $7,000.
Well, and if he did it right, he'll get some residuals over the years when it's resold.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, wait a minute. So you could go into this market, get it out to the fan. Fans have something. They always want something. They want something that's unique. They want something that is rare. They would love that. You could come out with a limited edition album that has all these extra songs on it. And if you're a real true fan, you're gonna get that. And that is a good incentive. If you have an NFT that has all these little extras in it, then you can own that or you can get a piece of that, and that's your favorite band, you're going to keep on going to see what else you can get.
Oh,
what
sure.
else you can do.
Yeah, if you invest in the NFTs and your favorite artists, you guys as artists can offer special things to people who buy the NFTs as opposed to others who maybe don't. Like anything, it's the sky's the limit, right? You can offer them, special seating or closer seating
Yes.
at your concerts, or special signed memorabilia or whatever. It's really up to you.
Yes, and in a way, it's cutting out the middleman as far as look, I don't have to ask permission to do this or ask permission to do that. If it's your content, that is key. If it's your content, the sky's the limit.
Right. You mean ask permission of the record company or whoever.
Of the record company. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what's how are you employing your token in that way? Your Bobo token.
The Bobo token and how we're kind of going to put it together also with the record to be able to unlock songs, to be able to unlock special behind the scenes things, to unlock and be able to get rare items. Like there might be 5 signed albums. We want to keep things like in limited editions. So it's just not all like if you get 100,000 of one thing, that's great, and a lot of people can get it. But some people, they want the rarities. They want those things. That there's only 10 of these, or there may be only 5 of these, or there might be only 1 of these, or to be able to get like the alternative cover to Empires that's kind of like in motion, things like this and special things. And it's just the incentive. And then we also have some things in the works that are going to include gaming. And it's going to be a big part of the album too, which the album would serve as a soundtrack. And that the songs will be like different levels. We're really trying to push the envelope because really it's the Wild Wild West. There's nothing that you can't do at the moment. You can try it all. So that's basically what the BoboToken is, and to be able to get with the fans, for them to be able to trade within each other. They could trade, they can get things using their token.
Sure, and it has value for the fans too. If they have some rare NFTs, like maybe there were one of 5 people, who got the rare album cover to the album. This becomes something valuable for them too, that they can resell. So it's not just one way, money directly to the artists. They own something unique, something rare, and if they hold on to it, they choose to hold on to it. If they want to sell it to another fan, then they can make some money as well.
That's right. And also, Bobo is the BoboToken is paired up with on Uniswap. We're trying to get it that there's some liquidity to it.
Yeah, I see that. You need some liquidity though right now.
Exactly. So like we have tokens that are running on the ERC20, realm. We have ones that are running through the XRP, like with the XUMM wallet. We're in talks right now with Gala.
So I see it's paired with Gala right now, isn't it?
Yes, we're paired with them. So we want to make it that it's also interchangeable through cross platforms. So it's not just specific to one, because everybody's got their thing, but to make something that could be used by everyone in whatever format that you're into, and makes it fun.
So what about the members of Cypress Hill? Have they discussed, a Cypress token moving forward for, doing sort of matching or growing on what you're learning?
Well, I think that I've talked a little bit about it on the Dr. Green Thumb podcast that I do with Be Real and E-Zone and C- on Be Real TV. And they've kind of like started to nickname me Cryptobo. Because I started talking about the token and everything, and then there were people that in the live chat that were starting to comment like, "Yo, about crypto and break this down, and what kind of wallet do you have, and cold wallet, hot wallet store, And so I'm saying all this stuff, and he has like been like, "Whoa, I never knew that this is Cryptobo now, So I think that with this and with Empires and to seeing what we can do, I think that eventually that we could see something with Cypress and Cypress has millions and millions of people in their fan base that could definitely, be interested in something like this that'll be extra, for the fans. But I think that I'm using myself as a guinea pig to really work out all the kinds of kinks and quirks, and to do that, because it's not that like you have one shot at this, but you got to make the first shot the best shot. You know what I mean? And I think that you have to, you have to do your homework. You have to, make sure that you're in this, and you're in it for the right reasons and for the smart reasons.
Yeah. And I think also with the whole NFT thing, there's a lot of discussion that seems about where to place your token and will that platform or blockchain have the longevity for, you've put so much effort and energy and money into it. And then what if that blockchain goes offline in 20 years and you've lost that opportunity? It's hard to
Exactly.
pick the horse right now.
I think that we as artists that are getting into crypto or NFTs and anything, we have a responsibility to also kind of teach our fans, show our fans, there's a learning curve here. So
for everyone.
So we can't just say, splat, here you go, my NFT. Well, people are going to say, what the hell is this? Or what is this? And we have to kind of hold our fans' hands in a way and kind of guide them and because they'll listen. If we're explaining a little bit to them, they're going to listen to us because they're interested. They're already fans. But we have to be responsible enough to, if we want to see this grow and go forward and move in this space, we also have to be kind of like their guide. And that's why, like with me, you subscribe with the Bobo token, we have the newsletters kind of like start to explain, like, these are the different wallets that you can get, the different apps. This is what you do. This is, how you go about it. We have to kind of step by step. So then when it clicks and they get it, then they really get it. I mean, it was the same with the internet. Not everybody knew or understood what the internet was, but now the internet has become something that we cannot live without.
It just is. You don't have
to. It is just is. It's
this.
life.
Yes.
And so then we have to do the same thing if we want this new thing, a relatively new thing, go forward. Because now everybody's talking about it, and everybody NFT, and everybody's going the route. Okay, there's companies or there's things that you can go and make your NFT. Okay, but I think all of this is more than just NFT. I'm trying to do with Empires, that we're trying to make it like the first gamified album on a blockchain that is going to be interactive and things like that. You have to have interaction. You have to have that, like how the gamers do it.
Like your son's an influence.
Exactly. It is like, you got to get these tokens to get this. Yep. You have to get this and trade this. You have trade tokens, everything like this.
Does he play Roblox and Minecraft and all that?
Yes,
I have an 8-year-old son,
yes,
and Bill has.
My son's the same way. They just, and I can't get them to bridge the gap to the real world and real crypto yet. Like we talk a lot about it, but he hasn't fully put it together that there's going to be some games he's going to gravitate to where he can make real crypto.
Right.
And it hasn't happened yet, but boy, he'll tell me about the things he gets on Roblox. He's all excited about that. And I'm like, that's like, cool, son, but what, so what, at this point,
make some money, son.
Yeah. He's got college coming up.
Yeah, my son the other night said the same thing. He goes, Mommy, I'm going to mine Robux instead of Bitcoin. And I was like, shut your mouth.
But the thing is that they're learning. This is the seed. It's the seed, because who knows what's going to be happening when they're 25, 30 years old. You know what I mean? And they already have a little grasp of tokens and what they can do with them, and trading and all of this stuff. When he tells me, you know what, I traded this thing for that and everything like that, I'm like, okay. And me not realizing that's all on blockchain, because it's all memory. It's all being remembered. It's all there. Yeah. So
they're going to be telling their kids about the day when we had a thing called the dollar. And
and that's the thing. I mean, you look at it this way. I mean, this pandemic has changed so many things. Like not everybody's going to carry cash to go to the market. People are going to just put their phone and the mobile pay and do it like that. It's already happening.
China,
I think it fast
pretty much all you can do.
Yes,
China,
that's right. But I agree with you, Eric. The pandemic sped this up a lot more than expected.
And that's the thing. And then for us, we're like, wow, all this change, but this is now a norm. This has now become life. and we have to now adapt to it, because there's some people that just say, you know what, if they don't take cash, they just take your card or mobile pay, it's going to get to that, and eventually, who knows what's going to be down the road, and the crypto thing. It's like an example. I know that people are tired of having to pay large fees to send money across the country, like via Western Union or something like that. $20 in fees, where you could send something in like an XRP, send, that, and it could be for cents. This is what Bitcoin was supposed to be. Bitcoin was supposed to be that easy peer-to-peer system. There's a lot of people that don't even understand what Bitcoin, what it was for, what it's based on.
Or even
they just
what
know that it makes
peer-to-peer
money.
means. Yeah. Or,
Exactly.
like what that actually means beyond just, oh, look, I can QR code you some money. It's more than that. It's borderless.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's so much more.
And that's the thing. So now everybody knows Bitcoin just equals money. So we're going to go and buy Bitcoin. Okay. All right. You know what Ethereum does? You know what, all these different projects do, because that's what they are. They're all projects. So we
People
have to educate ourselves, and people don't know. And that's why it's so early in the game, that's why it's the Wild Wild West. That's why, like, to do something like, with NFTs and implementing music and doing all this kind of stuff, there's no rules yet. So it's the best time to do it, the best time to try it all out. And then you see where it goes, because, look at the artists. There's so many artists and people, oh man, I could do an NFT with my pictures, and you can make money. You can. So we
while
just have
giving
to really,
the fans something in return too.
Yes, and that's important, because it's a fan based thing. I mean, it's if you want to communicate with your fans, this is a great way to do it without having to deal with the middleman.
Right. So, are you going to be in Buenos Aires for a while? You sticking around there? You guys going to head back to the States? Oh, really?
Yeah. I head back because Cypress Hill, we have a virtual show on 420 that's going to be at the Roxy, and that's going to be going down. So, got to get back for rehearsal with that, and also Empires, all the Empires promo stuff. Got to get back to that, and then see what goes on. We might be hitting the road soon. Let's hope. But yeah, we got a lot of things in the cooker though.
Absolutely, and I'm ready to see that. That's awesome. Your virtual show coming up on 420. You'll be performing at the Roxy, and
yes,
of course, you're going to be promoting your brand new album, Empires, with Stu Bangus, right? And you guys are going to be back in the States, so we'll see how the fans are going to be able to interact with you, and through NFTs.
Yeah. I mean, we have some great stuff planned and great things, in the works, and things that'll be really interesting for the fans. Because one thing with Cypress is that we've always been really a fan-based group. Even during the shows, early days, we would go walk out in the crowd without any security and just hang out with the fans and be with them. So we understand how important it is for them, and we've been grateful to have their support for all these years. So it'd be good to give them something back. And I know everybody's dying to get out and see a good show and see a tour and just get out, period. So I look forward to get back on the stage and see people just like really having a good time and everything. But we're almost there. We're almost there.
I know. So close. Man, I can't tell you how thankful I am to be able to talk with you and learn a little bit more about you and talk about your NFTs. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for you and for everybody in the economy, and how people are going to be acting and investing where they never thought they could before with this space. And that's the exciting thing I see coming out of this as well. People who just could never think of anything else but roof over the head, food on the table. Investing is a pipe dream. It's not anymore. And artists are going to give their fans a way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like the artist's turn to, you know, kind of reap some of the rewards. You know, I mean, when Napster happened and the whole streaming, you know, downloading thing happened, you know, that took a big bite out of the industry that companies didn't know what to do. But it was a sign of the future of things to come. But now we can have a chance to kind of be in control again for a minute and be in control of what we put out there and get the stuff to the fans, because at the end of the day, without the fans, we're nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Eric. On that note, thank you so much. Good luck with everything. And I'd love to be able to check in with you later this year and see what's going on.
She'll be at the Roxy.
Yes, let's do that.
Oh, absolutely. Don't arrest me if I'm trying to break into the Roxy, okay?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, you gotta be ready. You better be ready.
Yeah, it's 420, you know.
Yeah, it's 420.
Yeah, and it's 420. So
Yeah.
you know what to do. You know what to do.
Hey, token and talking tokens.
Token and tokens.
Yeah, token and
like
token.
A natural fit.
Right.
Eric,
great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. It was great.
Thank you.
To be able to talk about this and let's do it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.